We're TTB, the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau.
Thank you for joining this webinar that will discuss how TTB regulates alcohol beverage advertising. I am Jessica Bruss. I'm the Acting Assistant Director of the Trade Investigation Division's Market Compliance Office. Let's get started. I will pause for a moment to let you read our disclaimer. This disclaimer basically tells you that we are presenting this information to help you understand and comply with the laws and regulations that TTB administers. We are not establishing any new or changing any existing definitions, interpretations, standards, or procedures. If I happen to say something incorrectly that is contrary to the law or regulation administered by TTB, it is those laws and regulations that supersede whatever I'm going to tell you today. In addition, if this is up on our website for a while and you would like to watch it again, there is a chance that any of the information that we are sharing could be superseded and become outdated. So always consult the most recent regulations. Today we will be discussing what gives TTB the authority to regulate alcohol beverage advertising. What is advertising? Meaning, what types of advertising does TTB regulate? What mandatory information must appear in advertisements? And what practices or statements are prohibited from appearing? How does TTB view health-related statements and advertising? The role of social media in advertising and how to comply with the TTB advertising regulations. And lastly, we will discuss common issues we see when we review advertisements for compliance. Please note, this presentation is about the federal alcohol beverage advertising laws and regulations that TTB administers. So please continue to check with your state for any applicable state laws. What gives TTB the authority to regulate alcohol beverage advertising? The Federal Alcohol Administration Act, or FAA Act, as we like to call it, provides, among other things, TTB with the authority to regulate the advertising of wine, distilled spirits, and malt beverages as they are defined in the Act. When I say as they are defined in the Act, it should be noted that the Act defines wine as containing not less than 7% of alcohol by volume. Additionally, malt beverages are defined as fermented products made from both malted barley and hops. So wines under 7% alcohol by volume and beers made without either malted barley or hops do not fall under TTB's advertising jurisdiction. Examples of products that do not fall under TTB's advertising jurisdiction include some hard seltzers and lower alcohol ciders. These products fall under FDA's jurisdiction for labeling and advertising. The FAA Act's advertising provisions are codified in Title 27 of the United States Code, Section 205F. The regulations that implement the FAA Act's advertising provisions can be found in Title 27 of the Code of Federal Regulations, in Part 4 for wine, Part 5 for distilled spirits, and Part 7 for malt beverages. These regulations are available on our website at www.ttb.gov. The major function of these advertising laws and regulations are to prevent deception of the consumer with respect to the products advertised, prohibit statements that may mislead the consumer, provide the consumer with adequate information as to the identity and quality of the products advertised, including alcohol content in the case of distilled spirits, and provide the name and address of the person responsible for the advertising. I should note that TTB's advertising authority applies to advertisements made by TTB regulated entities. that is, generally, importers, producers, and wholesalers, whether made directly, indirectly, or through an affiliate. This means that our regulations generally do not apply to advertisements made solely by retailers. For example, if a retailer publishes sales flyers that include this week's alcohol products that are on sale, the advertising regulations would not apply so long as the retailer is the publisher and the TTB regulated industry member did not fund or cause the flyer to be published in any way. However, if an industry member pays a retailer or marketing company to advertise on its behalf, the TTB advertising regulations would apply. What is advertising from a TTB regulated perspective? The advertising definition is very, very broad and includes any written or verbal statement, illustration, or depiction which is in interstate or foreign commerce, is calculated to induce sales in interstate or foreign commerce, or which is disseminated by mail. Basically, if it is meant to induce sales, TTB considers it an advertisement, no matter what media you use. There are no TTB prohibitions on the types of media you may use to advertise your product. You will notice on this slide, as well as in future slides, that we have the regulatory citation in the lower right corner of your screen. This is where you can read the specific regulatory provisions being addressed in their entirety, should you wish to do so. So in this case, the definition of advertising can be found in 27 CFR, section 4.61 for wines, section 5.232 for distilled spirits, and section 7.232 for malt beverages. These regulations are available on the TTB website for viewing. Now, we are going to go over some examples of advertisements that TTB regulates, which include magazines, newspapers, circulars, or mailers, trade booklets, sales pamphlets, or other publications, and alcohol beverage menus, wine cards, leaflets, shelf cards, or shelf talkers. Hang tags, bottle cones, pamphlets, and other material that go with the container, and representations on cases and cartons, such as shipping cases that do not constitute labeling. Please note, retail cartons are covered by their own set of regulations that we will not be discussing in detail here. Additional examples include billboards and signs, whether they are indoor or outdoor, as well as TV and radio advertisements. Some more modern and popular modes of advertising include websites, including online pop-up advertisements, and social networking services, such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Snapchat. Media sharing sites such as YouTube, Vimeo, TikTok, and Instagram, as well as advertisements using social media influencers, which will be explained in greater detail later in this presentation. Lastly, blogs or microblogs such as X, formerly Twitter, and Tumblr, mobile applications, links and QR codes that may appear on the product label or elsewhere. The material accessible by the link or the QR code is considered advertising. And advertisements that use augmented reality. Remember, any and all material that is for the purpose of inducing alcohol beverage sales in interstate or foreign commerce is considered an advertisement and is regulated by TTB. Now let's talk about what information is required on ads. All alcohol beverage advertisements regulated by TTB must bear certain mandatory information. The mandatory information is largely similar between the three alcohol beverage commodities, that is, wine, distilled spirits, and malt beverages. But there are a few exceptions, so we will discuss each commodity separately. Wine advertisements must include the name of the permittee responsible for the advertisement. This can be a trade name as long as the trade name is added to your permit. The address of the advertiser or some other type of contact information, such as the telephone number, website, or email address. The class and type designation or distinctive designation. This must be as it appears on the label approved by TTB. If the label uses red wine, white wine, sparkling wine, cider, or grape varietals, that is what must also be on the advertisement. However, if it is a specialty product and the wine label has a statement of composition, such as red wine with natural flavors or white wine with natural and artificial flavors, that is what must appear on the advertisement. To sum up, the class and type or distinctive designation must appear on the advertisement as it appears on the approved label. For distilled spirits advertisements, you must again include the name and address of the responsible advertiser. Again, you may use a trade name as long as that trade name is added to your permit. You must also include the class and type. For example, whiskey, gin, brandy, vodka, bourbon whiskey, or cognac. For a product that requires a statement of composition, you may have something like neutral spirits with natural flavor and caramel color, or vodka with natural flavors. As with wine, the class and type or distinctive designation must appear on the advertisement the same way it appears on the approved label. For distilled spirits, you must also include the alcohol content of the product as a percentage of alcohol by volume. Proof may also be included, but it is not required. And in certain cases, other than liqueurs, cordials, and specialties, you must include the percentage of neutral spirits, if used, and the name of the commodity from which the spirits were derived. If the percentage of neutral spirits and a commodity statement is required on the label of the product, it is also required in the advertisement. Lastly, for malt beverages, the name and address or name and contact information of the responsible advertiser. Trade names may be used, but must be added to your brewer's notice. Class statement of the product, same as it appears on the label. Examples would be beer, ale, lager, porter, stout, or for specialty products that require a statement of composition, an example would be raspberry ale or stout brewed with pumpkin and cinnamon. However, the class or statement of composition appears on the label. It must also appear that way in the advertisement. There are two exceptions to the required mandatory information that apply to advertisements for all commodities. The first exception applies if the advertisement refers to a general line of products or all of the products of one company by the company name or by the brand name common to the products. If the advertisement refers to the company name or the brand name of a product line, the only mandatory information that is necessary is the responsible advertiser's name and address, or name and other contact information such as a telephone number, website, or email of the responsible advertiser. You may see these types of general ads on billboards or signs advertising a brewery, distillery, or winery, but not containing any specific details about their products. The second exception is for advertisements on consumer specialty items. These are items that are designed to be carried away by the consumer and include items such as non-alcoholic mixers, ashtrays, bottle or can openers, shopping bags, matches, printed recipes, coasters or pencils, and shirts, caps, and visors. In this case, the only information that is required on those items is the company name or brand name of the product. That sums up our exceptions to the mandatory information requirements. Now that we have gone over the mandatory information requirements, we will discuss certain practices that are prohibited when advertising your alcohol beverages. Alcohol beverage advertisements must not contain any false or untrue statements. Misleading statements, regardless of whether or not they are true, that create a misleading impression or are likely to mislead the consumer. Misleading statements disparaging a competitor's products. Representations that are obscene or indecent. Misleading guarantees, however, money-back guarantees are not prohibited. And statements suggesting a wine or malt beverage product contains or is a distilled spirit. Additional prohibited practices include representations of the armed forces or flags that create a misleading impression. Statements inconsistent with the label or statements on the label. For example, if your advertisement contains pictures of your labeled bottles, the label on the bottle depicted in the advertisement must be a representation of an approved label, subject to any allowable revisions, which are listed on TTB Coliform 5100.31. Another example would be that any class and type statement used in advertisements must be the same class and type statement used on the bottle. For example, if you have a product labeled as vodka with natural flavors, the advertisement must refer to the product as vodka with natural flavors and not just vodka. Untrue or misleading health-related statements, which we will discuss further in the next few slides. And lastly, advertisements must not contain misleading statements relating to analyses, standards, or tests, irrespective of falsity. What do we mean by health-related statement? Health-related statement means any statement related to health and includes statements of a curative or therapeutic nature that expressly or by implication suggest a relationship between the consumption of the product, alcohol, or any substance found within the product, and health benefits or effects on health. Health-related statements include specific health claims and directional statements. A specific health claim is a type of health-related statement that expressly or by implication characterizes the relationship of the product, alcohol, or any substance found within the beverage to a disease or health-related condition. An example of a specific health claim would be, this product is safe for diabetics, or celiac safe. Health-related directional statements are statements that refer consumers to a third party or other source for health-related information. Health-related statements also include general references to alleged health benefits from the consumption of alcohol, representations or claims that imply that a physical or psychological sensation results from consuming the alcohol product, and statements and representations of nutritional value. This does not include statements of average analysis or serving fact statements, which we will discuss later. What are the advertising rules for health-related statements? TTB evaluates advertisements that contain health-related statements on a case-by-case basis. We look at the totality of the advertisement to make a determination as to whether or not the advertisement is likely to mislead consumers about the product, and especially about the health effects of the product. In general, advertisements may not contain any health-related statement that is untrue or that creates a misleading impression as to the effect on health of alcohol consumption. We may require a disclaimer or other qualifying statement if we find that such disclaimer or qualifier would dispel the misleading impression conveyed by a health-related statement. Any disclaimer must appear as prominent as the health-related statement. Rules for advertising specific health claims. Remember, specific health claims are those health-related statements that relate the alcohol beverage product, alcohol, or any substance found in the alcohol beverage product with a disease or health-related condition. A specific health claim is not misleading if it is truthful and it is adequately substantiated by scientific or medical evidence, and it must be detailed with respect to whom it applies, and it must disclose the health risk associated with both moderate and heavier levels of alcohol consumption, and it must outline the categories of individuals for whom any levels of alcohol consumption may cause health risks. All of this information must appear as part of the specific health claim. Now I will go over some of the most common health-related statements that we see when reviewing advertisements. Advertising that suggests the alcohol beverage has energizing or stimulating effects. For example, any statement that would insinuate ingesting the product or extra ingredients in the product would allow the consumer to drink more without experiencing the negative effects of alcohol consumption. These types of statements fall under health-related statements as they imply a physical or psychological effect. We review such statements on a case-by-case basis, taking into account the totality of the advertisement. Additional types of health-related statements we see include ingredient-specific statements such as ginseng helps with chronic fatigue syndrome. Taurine plays a major role in stabilizing heartbeat. Guarana, maintaining stamina, physical endurance, and aiding in rejuvenation. These are all specifically related to ingredients in the alcohol beverage product. Others may be more general, such as, this fruit wine will help your memory. Wine is healthier. No headaches. Hangover free. When we review alcohol beverage advertising that includes health-related statements, we review them in totality to determine if, in context, they would tend to mislead consumers about the health effects of the product. With these particular examples that we provided, and in the particular context in which they were presented, we found them to be misleading health-related statements. Other statements we see are calorie and carbohydrate claims. TTB allows advertising claims about the calorie and carbohydrate content, including sugar, to be made in advertisements as long as the advertisement also includes a statement of average analysis in accordance with TTB ruling 2004-1, or a serving fact statement in accordance with TTB ruling 2013-2 and 2020-1. All of these rulings are available on the TTB website. As you can see, these two statements are quite similar, with a few differences we will discuss. A statement of average analysis has no specified format, but requires the serving size, the number of calories per serving, the number of carbohydrates, protein, and fat in grams per serving. The serving sizes for statements of average analysis are 1.5 fluid ounces for distilled spirits, 5 fluid ounces for wine, and 12 ounces for malt beverages. The serving fact statement, on the other hand, has a specified format and requires, in addition to calories, carbs, protein, and fat disclosures, a statement listing the number of servings per container and optionally may include alcohol content. If the serving fact statement lists the alcohol content of the product, the alcohol content must be listed as a percentage of alcohol by volume, and optionally in fluid ounces of pure alcohol. The serving fact statement has a number of specified serving sizes for each commodity that take into account alcohol content and how the product is likely to be consumed, as opposed to the average analysis that only has one serving size per commodity. Remember, if you are making calorie, carbohydrate, or sugar claims, you must include either a statement of average analysis or serving fact statement on the advertisement. This is a common mistake we see. Let's now talk about the role of social media in alcohol beverage advertising. As I am sure you are all aware, social media has become a very popular advertising tool for our industry members. In 2022, TTB published Industry Circular 2022-2, titled Use of Social Media in the Advertising of Alcohol Beverages. This industry circular provides TTB's position that the advertising provisions of the FAA Act apply to all advertisements in any media, including those in social media. This industry circular modifies and supersedes TTB Industry Circular 2013-1. Basically, we removed references to some older formats of social media and updated the industry circular to address more common means of advertising through mediums such as TikTok and the use of social media influencers. Social media advertisements require all mandatory information, just like any other alcohol beverage advertisement. Commonly, the mandatory information, such as the name and address of the responsible advertiser, is placed in the About section of many pages. Required product information is typically included in the product-specific post or on the product or shop pages. The industry member may include a link in the advertising that takes the consumer to the mandatory information. Also, the prohibited practices with regards to misleading information, including misleading health-related statements, also apply to social media advertisements. Let's now talk about the use of social media influencers to advertise alcohol beverage products. As stated previously, TTB Industry Circular 2022-2 was updated, among other reasons, to provide the Bureau's position on advertising through social media influencers. TTB defines social media influencers as those individuals on social media who have audiences or followers and use their influence to persuade their audience to purchase products. In some cases, advertisements by social media influencers are regulated by TTB, and in some cases, they are not. So how do we decide if a social media influencer posts or pages are advertisements regulated by TTB? If the posts or pages directly or indirectly advertise an industry member, their brand, or a specific product, we may consider these posts made by the social media influencer to be advertisements. In making this determination, we will consider whether or not an industry member directly, indirectly or through an affiliate published, disseminated, or caused to be published or disseminated the advertisement. In this case, the social media influencer's posts. Or if the social media influencer was compensated directly or indirectly by the industry member in return for the endorsement, whether by free product or other items of value. Any links on an industry member's website or social media page to post will always be considered part of the TTB regulated advertisement. What are the rules if an industry member uses a social media influencer to advertise their product? Such posts or pages would need to follow the same rules as any other advertisement. All mandatory information must be present, and the advertisement is subject to the prohibited practices regulations discussed previously. The mandatory information requirements can be satisfied by a link to the information. Now we are going to talk about the common issues we see when reviewing alcohol beverage advertisements for compliance. TTB monitors the advertising of alcohol beverages through a combination of pre-market review of advertising material, which is a service we provide to industry members that we will discuss in more detail in a moment, and referrals and/or complaints such as those by consumers, other government agencies, or industry members, and internal selections for review. Some of the most common issues we see when reviewing advertising include missing mandatory information. Specifically, the required class, type, or other designation is often missing or misstated. As a reminder, the designation shown on the product labels on the approved cola should be used as the class designation in advertising. For example, if your product cola has a designation such as vodka with fruit juice, sparkling water, and natural flavors, then your advertisement should also have that complete designation. Labels depicted in ads don't match the colas. Sometimes the ads have labels that contain different graphics or text that is not on the approved cola and is not an allowable revision. Calorie or carbohydrate claims without a statement of average analysis or serving facts statement. Misleading or unsubstantiated health claims. Organic claims in advertising for products that are not entitled to make such claims. American viticultural area claims on advertising when the product cola does not list an AVA. If you see an advertisement that you believe is not in compliance with the TTB regulations, you may email a complaint to us. We will provide the email address at the end of this presentation. Please include screenshots and details about why you believe the advertisement is non-compliant in your email. The Market Compliance Office does offer a pre-market review service to our industry members. We will review all types of advertisements, from posters and hang tags to social media and TV or video commercials. We also review retail cartons for compliance. Pre-clearing cartons and advertising material allows an industry member to avoid additional expenditures that might otherwise be incurred by having to revise a non-complying advertisement or carton after its use. Once you receive label approval, you can forward your advertisement to us for review. We will review the advertisement and let you know if it is compliant, or if it is not, we will help you to get it into compliance. We are here to help. Information and images of the advertisement or advertisements or cartons you wish to be reviewed may be sent to market.compliance@ttb.gov. Please include the cola ID number for the product. It helps with our review. This concludes the presentation on alcohol beverage advertising. I hope this information was helpful for you to better understand the federal regulations related to advertising alcohol beverages. If you have any questions about the material in this presentation or advertising in general, please contact the Market Compliance Office by phone or email. Thank you for watching.
Visit TTB's official YouTube channel at USTTB.gov for more TTB-related content. And remember to click subscribe so you'll always know when we upload new videos.